We're officially kicking off this session. We're so honored and excited to have Natasha today and share with us the topic of scaling to 7 figures efficiently. All of us as entrepreneurial women know that half of the battle is operations and all that goes in with it. So I'm so honored for Natasha to share that. And actually one big thing, or many things that she is a proponent of, is not working in your business, but working on your business. So excited to learn about that. We met a while ago, and when we first met, she's like, oh, we're going to be fast friends. And I think that's just one of the many things that just defines Natasha. I just, like, you'll see, like, she's like the best energy, and you'll, I'm sure, all click with her. I will read out her bio because otherwise I won't do it full justice, but Natasha Miller isn't your average CEO. She sits at the helm of Entire Productions, the Bay Area's go-to event and entertainment production company for the last 20 years, serving huge clients like Google, Cliff Bar, and more. Entire Productions has also been on the Inc. 5000 list. By the way, you have to have a minimum of $2 million to qualify for this. Of fastest growing companies in America for 3 years in a row. Natasha studied entrepreneurship at the Harvard Business School and MIT, and is a trained classical violinist and accomplished jazz vocalist. She now resides in San Francisco, California, where she's a member and is on the regional board of Entrepreneurs Organization. And as of this week, she's also a published author. I'm so honored to pass it on to Natasha, who will run us through a few slides and a few other things. And if any questions come up at any point, feel free to use the Zoom chat.
Okay, that was great. Thank you so much. It was just wonderful meeting you and joining this incredible group. I'm just really impressed. And I'm always learning, no matter how far and how successful and how achieved I get, I always want to learn more. And I know I can learn more, even just from people not in my industry. I'm going to share my screen. I have some slides just for, design purposes, but I like to really talk about things and not really have you focusing on the slides. You probably will not be asking me for these slides when we're done, because you'll see. Okay, so we're going to talk about 3 of the main things that I think that people need to know in order to scale and grow their business to 7 and above and beyond 7 figures, but do it efficiently and sort of like not how I did it. So you just got a little bit of my background. Let me just skim this and see if I missed anything. I want to say that the 2 programs I attended, I'm actually attending at MIT and I attended at Harvard, are through Entrepreneurs Organization. So I'm not going direct and getting, a degree and such. I just want to make sure that that's known. And just for a little bit, I'm going to share this background, and then I'm going to get rid of it because it's driving me crazy. I launched a book on Tuesday, which was 2 days ago. And I would love for you to read it. It really shows my entrepreneurial journey. It's more of a business memoir. It's climbing the charts on Amazon, and it's inflating my ego like you wouldn't believe. So enough about that. I want to know a little bit about you guys first. And can you put in the chat? So I'd like to know 2 things: what your industry or sector is, and where you are in your entrepreneurial journey. And you can say it anyway. You can say, I'm a solopreneur, I'm just getting started, I'm over 6 figures, I'm over 7 figures, whatever it is that you want to say. It doesn't have to be exact. We could have done a poll, but I didn't think that was important. And while you're doing that, I'm getting rid of this. Thank you. Okay. This is my real life. This is really me. And let's see if I can see the chat. Okay, good. This is wonderful. Okay. Okay, I need a little more people. Solo, okay. Okay, this gives me a really good idea of where you may be. And some of you may be beyond where I'm at. And I have a feeling that even if you are, you could still learn something from me, which I'd love to have you, tell me about. So the first thing that I want to talk about that I think would be just one of the most important things to get your business up and going and out of having you have a full-time job. A lot of entrepreneurs get into entrepreneurship so that they can be their own boss and have their own time and maybe work less and answer to less people. But the truth is, most entrepreneurs end up working at their entrepreneurial endeavor as a full-time plus job. And it's not, I mean, it's sometimes it's better than working for someone else, even if you're working harder and longer and not making as much money. But we want to try to get to the point where you're working on your business instead of in it day to day. And if this is a new idea for you, um, I'd love to have someone write in the chat, what are you talking about? Because then I will go deeper into what that means. But if you know already, it's okay. So anybody want to know what the heck that means? I might tell you anyway. Okay, Ravel. So I have had my business for 20 years. And up until, let me think about this, a year before the pandemic, I was working day to day in my business. I was managing people, I was selling, I was handling a lot of the marketing. We have a high volume, high end events and entertainment production company, and I was handling about 45 RFPs at any given time. My team was handling up to 45 to 65 per person at a time. And of course, those are the inbound inquiries. So was I doing what I'm telling you to do? Nope. I was looking for so many different ways, middle management, to relinquish some of these duties, but I had a full-time job as an employee in my business. Today, I'm just going to flash forward. Today, I am the visionary and strategist in my business, and I work about 15% on the business. I do not take client calls. I do not take RFPs. I am not doing the marketing. I am not the single engine to sell. And so what you want to do is get yourself in that place. Now, you might be thinking, because in 2015, even when someone told me that, I'm like, well, what the heck am I going to do? I'll be bored, or, the business needs me. I can't not do everything. It will fall apart. Those are, for me, and I don't want to say this to you, but those were immature ideas. Those were ideas that I thought had to be true. And as you can see, I've discovered that they are not. So the first thing that I think really everyone needs to concentrate on is their systems and processes. And we're going to just go here and say this. So I think you hear the word systems and processes a lot, but nobody's describing what that really means. So this is a definition. A system is a collection of elements or processes or components that are organized for a common purpose. So if you have a task that you're going to be doing repeatedly, you're going to want to get it so that everyone on your team is doing it the same way repeatedly, and giving your clients, right? You're always got to think about your clients and your team's expectations and experiences so that they're all doing it the same way and your clients are experiencing the same thing. That is one way you can get yourself out of inside of the business, right? If everyone's doing it the way you do it. Okay. And then, so you hear the word systems and processes. And so a process is a series of progressive and interdependent steps by which an end is attained. So the question I think some of you might be asking yourself is, what is a system? Do I have one? Do I need more than one? Because you hear that as a plural, systems and processes. And I would say in general, because we're not going to go super deep into these things because we have just about an hour, is do you do two separate things that the processes are a bit different from or very different from? So for me, we have an event planning division, right? So we're taking a client's event from A to Z, planning every little thing in between. We also do event or entertainment production management, where we're just placing entertainment in another planner's event. All we're responsible is for the talent. So we actually do have two systems. They share a lot of the same processes and they look vaguely similar, but because the experience is very different from each side, there has to be more or less or different processes within that. And if you have any questions as we go along, I'm keeping my eye on the chat, but Gesche, if you hear something or see something that's like, we need to stop and ask, please do that. Let's do it in the moment. We can also do it afterward. Oh, we're still on systems. Okay, we're going to be on this slide for a while, but I'm going to talk about a bunch of things. So processes, how do you figure them out? What is a process? So think about what it is you do from the moment your client or customer hears about you, engages with you, then all of the steps that your sales team, that might be just you, takes. And then once it goes to contract, what happens? And then after, you're producing whatever it is that you're doing, what are those steps? What are the actions and the outcomes, right? And fine tuning those. So you may have processes within the system that there are some links broken. And a great way to do this is to write it out. So you could get a big piece of paper and just start writing and write kind of small, because you'll be surprised at how many things that you're going to put. So if you start writing big and like pretty, you're going to need like a few more pieces of paper or whiteboard. And then if you're more visually connected, you can draw drawings. And I'm not going to remember the word for this diagram, but you can use the system and process mapping diagrams. It is not necessary. You can even do it with Post-its. I really don't care how you do it. But however you do start this out, I want you to take a photo of it and have a memorialization of it so you can look back on it, especially as you scale and grow. You can look back at where you started and you'll laugh because it's pretty cute and funny to see how much you've grown and where you started from. So you want to get rid of any of the bumps, the friction points. Another thing that I would love to talk to you about a little bit more at another time is automating anything and everything that is repeatable and low touch. So something that your clients aren't expecting you to be, ushering in with your authentic voice with a unique message. And for us, that's a lot of reminders. That's a lot of advancing notifications about information going to our clients and our vendors. And then just know this, as your business scales and grows, it's going to change the processes. And so you have to update them. So the next thing I want to talk about is, where does all this go? Where does all this go and how does it actually work to build a bigger, more formidable business? So it needs to be documented. Now, some people will say you only need to document like the top 20%. I don't believe that, and that's not what I do for my team, but you can do it any way you want that fits what you're doing. And also, if you're a solopreneur or you have a small team, or if you have a team with 1099 employees, do not think that this is not for you. This is for everyone. If you want to have a real business and not a lifestyle business that you don't intend on scaling and growing. The way I do it is in Google Docs. I have a manual with a how-to line by line on how to do everything, so that I could, if you were coming into my organization, hand you this document and you could train yourself. Now, your new employees or any of your employees need that personal touch with you. So you could do like an introduction and then hand them this, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So there's also an application called Trainual that is really good. And I think I'm going to move to it. It's a paid subscription, so it's definitely a hike up, but you can have your employees trained on these systems and processes, have them tested, and sort of prove that they've gone through the training, which I think is cool. So for me, I have everything on a Google document. I'm pretty good at typing stuff in. What if you're not? What if you're disorganized? What if you can't see straight? What if you really are having challenges even thinking about this? There are a couple of ways that you can do this that is more streamlined. And again, it's going to teach you how to do the next thing I'm going to talk to you about. And that is you could hire a VA or talk to one of your employees or even a friend if you don't have any of those things, and do it on Zoom. And I want you to walk them through step by step everything that you do on your inbound sales, your pipeline cycle, just everything from RFP stage to selling to contract to, out the door. But also you're not done there. It's, what happens after, right? There's communication, because the best way to make more money, the easiest path to that is not to acquire new customers, which is expensive, but having your customers repeat. Okay. So you're going to interview them and you're going to record it. And then you're going to run that transcript through rev.com or descript.com. You're going to download, that's an artificial intelligence applications. You're going to then download that transcription. And hopefully, if I get what I want out of you guys after this 1 hour session, you are not going to get in there and edit and arrange. You're going to have a virtual assistant or a 1099 employee or an employee do it for you. Do you see where I'm going? Does anyone know what the next step is? I've given you hints. Let's see if you can guess what the next thing is. Create a guide. Gesche, you can't be the only one. I'm not going to go on until somebody else. Oh, Christine. Okay, so I'll answer some of these questions about rev.com. You can, but in increments. Okay, so another thing I found. So I did this, and for a couple of years, this is the way I trained. But guess what I did? I sat there with somebody across the table and trained them the whole time myself, because I thought for some reason that was necessary. Yes, they want time with you, the founder, CEO, owner, but you don't need to be the one holding their hand. So another thing that we're doing now, which we've done in the last year and a half, is I have someone on my team, and sometimes it's me, do a video training of exactly what those systems and processes are, because people learn differently. Some people can read, a whole description and be fine. Some people need to see a video and see diagrams. And so you want to appeal and appease people's different learning aspects. And you can do this on Loom. You can also do it on descript.com. These are very inexpensive and sometimes free tools. If you're not using them, you need to check them out. They're really cool. And then now can you see what's happening? Not only do you have a system and process developing, right, so that you can have repeatable experiences, not only for your team, which will really make you look and feel like a much more together entity, but then your clients are really going to enjoy and experience what that outcome is. They're going to appreciate it, because if they order from you again or they use your service again, they're going to expect and want that same experience that they had before. Even if it's better the second time around, then they're going to judge that last time. So if everybody's rowing the boat in the same way at the same time all the time, it's going to be great for you. Okay. We are done with the systems and processes sort of intro. And the next thing we're going to talk about, which I think is so important, is delegation. Who here is an expert at doing this? Anyone? Not me. If you are, just say you are. Okay, let's talk about this. I started my business and it's music based, right? I'm a violinist. I'm a classical violinist, a jazz vocalist. I had all this information in my head that I didn't think anyone else that hadn't been in my own shoes could know. And then how could my clients trust somebody else beside me. I thought in order to make sales, they had to talk to me. They had to have my experience. But in 2013, I realized with, the onset of one employee and then looking to potentially scale and grow, I wasn't quite there yet. I was still in the lifestyle business mentality, which again, nothing wrong with that. I started trusting someone and started delegating. And once I saw that that person was taking everything from my mind and, what I taught her and doing the best she could do it. And at this point, there were no systems and processes or a CRM in place. Once I saw that she was taking an incredibly huge load off of my work plate, it was kind of intoxicating. And Gesche has read my book. She knows this passage about one of my employees that took on this huge deal that had so much logistics and creativity in it. And she did it so well. That's when I knew for sure, oh my gosh, I'm on to something. So why do you need to delegate? You absolutely, period, end of story, cannot scale your business. You can grow it, but you cannot scale it if you are not delegating. Let me just look at this slide and see if I need to. Yeah, okay. So it will free you up to do what you do best. And you really probably only do 3 or 4 things in your organization that are amazing, kick-ass. You really are the best. Then you're doing a bunch of stuff that you're okay at, and you're responsible for stuff, but you're probably not doing it. That thing of things that you suck at. Anyone resonate? I see some smiles and hands. Also, you need to do it because then your virtual assistant and then eventually your team can start picking up all the pieces. And here is the end all be all. It makes your company more valuable. Let me say that again. You may not be thinking of what your exit plan is, or if you even want one. You may think, I'm never going to sell my company. It's my baby. I'm saying these tongue in cheek because this is me. This was me before 2015. What the heck would I do? This is mine. My ego is so big. I loved all the adulation. But I realized, and I realize now, your business will have a higher valuation if you go to sell it, if you are not responsible for more than 30% of the sales, marketing, and management of your company. Does this surprise anyone? It surprised me when I heard the words absentee owner. Doesn't that sound negative? But the truth is, if you become an absentee owner, meaning that the business is not reliant upon you to do everything, then your business is actually worth more. Now, if you think you're never going to sell or you don't want to, then you could ignore this. However, most business people aren't prepared to sell. And when they need to, right, you've put all this work into your business and you get sick, or you decide you want to start a different company. It's going to take you a couple of years to get that business ready to actually do an exit if you don't have these things in place. Okay, I think I'm preaching a little too much right now. So how? The how is you have these systems and processes in place. I've already kind of given you some of the secrets. It takes some work, but it's not undoable, and it actually can be fun if you focus and you don't let any other outside things happen at the time, because that will really make it long and arduous. The CRM, this is so important. Now, I'm going to talk to you about how I did it within Salesforce. You don't need to use Salesforce. You can use other CRMs. However, I think that the reason why my company was able to do, and wait for it, 777 events in 1 year with 2 people in operations is because I developed a system and process within Salesforce that took our client on their journey from A to Z. We use it in a way that it wasn't really meant to be used for. It's not just housing information of potential clients and past clients for marketing purposes. So you can think about that. if you don't know what a CRM is, it's customer relationship management. So there's Zoho, there's HubSpot, there's so many out there. But for the sake of trying to tell you how this could work for you, I'm going to use the one I know well. Start small and ramp up slowly. So start small. Give somebody a piece of work that you are about to do and ask yourself, do I really need to be doing this myself? Now, the first thing you might think is, it'll be faster if I do it, or it'll take too long for me to explain, or this person or somebody else won't do it as well as I do. You have to stop yourself from thinking those thoughts. And I have to stop myself every day from thinking those thoughts. Oh, great, Gesche, VA companies. So you do not have to delegate everything in one fell swoop. But I think that getting to the point where you're delegating the lion's share of tasks in your business to someone else, the better. And let's see, I lost my train of thought, but I really want to get here. When I first was in the Inc. 5000 list on the list, I was so lucky to be interviewed by Lee Buchanan from Inc. And the reason why I was interviewed is because I took this survey that they sent out to lots of people that were trying to get on this list. And they asked you to do a strengths finder test, and I did it. And my highest strength at that time was delegation. Had I taken that 2 years before, it wouldn't have shown up in the top 5. And they wrote a whole article on it. So not only am I doing better for my business, but now I'm getting featured in an article with my photo in it in the magazine of Inc. magazine. So do it for yourself for all these reasons. Also, automation is another important part of having a CRM. Without it, doing your own automation with Zapier and, DIY, it's really hard, and it's hard to combine all those systems. But I would ask you guys, the next task that you have after this call, because I want you to start now, think about, do I need to be doing this? And who could you offload that to? And I promise you, your ego may be getting in the way that you have to be doing the work. You might think, I don't have enough budget. The truth is that the quicker that you get your systems and processes and your delegation mind in order, your revenue and hopefully your profit, and we can talk about that, that's a whole nother subject, will start to skyrocket. Okay, do we have any questions at this point that you think I should answer, Gesche?
Yes, so we had 3 questions, actually one of them from me, but sorry. Tips on delegating when you're bootstrapped. And then it kind of ties a little bit to that, but any tips for hiring, training senior people to take over more of the special touch tasks? And then the last thing
Okay. I'm going to answer the first one, and then I'm going to ask you to prompt me for the second. I am so tired from my book launch, you guys. I cannot really think straight. This is the best of me you can get today, though. And I think you're learning something, so I hope it's okay. So 1, bootstrapping. I won't speak for the VA companies that are here online. I pay my VA $8 an hour. I have 3 of them. I'm about to have 4. They're from the Philippines. Their English is excellent. Some of them work off hours. So I kind of have a global team basically that works all around the clock, if you count, when they're up and when I'm sleeping. And also one of them has chosen to work on Pacific Standard Time. It's $8 an hour, and they're for this particular company, which I'm not going to say here because I don't want to alienate the members. I would love to know about yours as well. I don't have to have them full time. I personally do because they do so much work for me and I need them. But that's a small amount. And bootstrapping just means that you are not taking outside venture. You're not taking outside money. You're not taking a line of credit. You're not putting things, to somebody else's money. So it's investing in yourself. is what I think. Does that answer it well? Yes, it looks like Tina is all about it. Good. Okay. What is the second question about
Second question is,
training?
any tips for hiring and training more senior people, especially the ones where, the special touch?
Yes. The third thing we're going to talk about, which is coming up next, is people. And so I'll do a little prelim thing. You can train higher level people. You are going to want them to be able to know your voice, your brand, your core values, your culture, and have them embody that completely. They can be their own authentic self within that, but first they have to match those core values. Again, that's a whole nother thing we can talk about it in another time. The culture and your brand voice, so that they're really representing you. Now, I can tell you this, if you want to go to my website, Entire Productions, you'll see on the About page, there's pictures of my team. They 100% are individual people that are not like me in real life. We have introverts, we have extroverts, we have outdoorsy people, we have people that wouldn't go out on a kayak if their life depended on them. And they know my voice and they know what's expected of them within my company. I do not know what events, what clients, what locations, any of our things are going on, except for on Monday mornings when we have our all hands meeting that I'm at most of the time. I have relinquished everything to them. My profitable multi-million dollar business is being run by them and they're all self-managed. We at this time do not have a middle manager. I don't know how long I can get away with that as we scale back up after the pandemic. But if you're hiring high level people, you need to let them teach you and teach your organization what they think might be best and really allow them to lead that way. Now, if it doesn't work, you can always backtrack, but you don't want to take that authority away from them. And was there a third question?
First of all, this is just so incredible. Thank you so much. The third one, actually, I love how all these three questions are kind of tied to each other, but the third one is from Elise. I often hear the advice that in sales, the founder should be doing sales in the early days. How do you know when you're ready to hand it over? Or is that not even true in your opinion?
Okay. I think, yes, as a founder, you're going to have to do everything at the beginning for the most part, unless you have a big bank account or, someone who's really wanting to support you. But very quickly, you should start outsourcing the sales, the marketing, and the managing of people, even if it's on a small level. And, it depends on if you're a service or if you're a product. And it also depends on what your experience is prior to this endeavor, right? You may be able, I sound like I'm drunk. I'm just tired. You may be able to teach and train somebody to do sales for your organization quickly, especially if you had the experience. Now, as a matter of years or revenue, at what point, I would say always be looking for the opportunity to relinquish that and maybe surprise yourself by doing it earlier than I did. Teresa, what is the lifestyle biz scalable company spectrum? Okay, so this is my definition of a lifestyle business and that of many entrepreneurs I know. It's not in cement. So, you can't say, well, Natasha said. So I had a lifestyle business. It made enough money for me to lead the lifestyle that I was leading. Now, your lifestyle might mean that you need $200,000 a year to live on. At the time I was doing it, I think it was like 50,000, right? And there wasn't more profit for hiring other people. And there wasn't a whole lot of money left over for paying for things like COIs and insurance and an attorney and all of that. It was paying for my lifestyle. And in my mind, they're trying. So this business was started as a job to support my performing career. And at a point that I decided, well, the business started coming in more. And when was that for me? That's when my daughter went to high school and didn't need me around as much. I'm from the Midwest. very centered on children. I would never go out to marketing events at night and leave her with a babysitter. That just wasn't in my makeup. And so when she stopped needing me as much, I started attending event organization, industry receptions and networking, and it started growing and scaling. And I had this CRM and I had these systems and processes in place starting in 2013 that it kind of allowed me to grow, even though I didn't know. I never thought I would have as big of a business as I do. But as I got involved in more groups and became a member of Entrepreneurs Organization, I started thinking, oh, why couldn't I have a $20 million? I'm comfortable with that. $1 billion company. I don't want a $1 billion company, I don't think, but I want to learn how to get there. Okay. I went on and on, didn't I? Okay. I love this. Okay. So get it out of your head and into a document, a video, and our CRM. So that is taking systems and processes and delegation. Now we're going to move. Oh, hold on. I made some notes and I just want to make sure. Oh, why entrepreneurs don't delegate? Their ego. They want all the accolades. They want everyone to think you're amazing. Now, if Google, our client, has a huge $1 million company, $1 million event, and I'm on site, people think I'm the hired freelancer. And my team no longer has to say, you know, if somebody's like, oh, Rachel, great job. Rachel does not ever have to turn to me and say, well, actually, Natasha's the founder of our company. I let Rachel own it 100% because my ego is done needing that feeding. They didn't know they should be. They didn't know they should be a delegator. They were in the job role instead of a leadership mind frame. And another reason why people don't delegate, and one of my best friends is absolutely this person, they're so disorganized that they're embarrassed to even hire a virtual assistant because they'd be seen, right? I got her over the hump, you guys. She's a photographer, amazing photographer. Okay, I discussed all those things. We're going to go on to people.
We have one question by Gigi that's really great in case.
Yes.
So she asks, can you say anything about the best profit ratio? How to determine your prices for a service-based business?
Okay, wait, I'm going to show you something. Here's an incredibly boring book that is so important. How to sell at margins higher than your competitors, winning every sale at full price, rate, or fee. I read this book from cover to cover. I actually enjoyed it, but I know that most people will want to kill themselves. And I distilled 40 points of this book down to share with my team. And I'll say also, my advisor told me to keep pushing your prices up until your clients start pushing back. So we are a high-end entertainment and event planning agency. And if we charge less for our services, people would stop wanting to be, go with us because there's a little bit of a upper echelon mindset about going with us. And you need to make sure that you're covering your expenses, but making a profit. So what profit margin do you want to be in? I'm going to admit to you, I was making a 10% profit, gross profit, when I first started, because I was embarrassed and didn't want to sound like I was gouging my clients. And here's the important part, psychologically, I was the artist, right? So how could I charge 20 to 50% more for an artist coming out to an event and feel justified about it? Well, that was silly. What we're doing as an event and entertainment production company, there's so much value in how we manage the artists, how we're so specific about things that we're worth a lot more. So now my gross profit margin is 50%. Now, what is my net profit? What is the take home? That depends on how you manage your people, your outside services, attorneys, consultants, SEO, all that stuff underneath. Does that help? All these questions could have their own 1 hour segment. Okay, so let's talk about people. People, if you ask any entrepreneur, hiring employees is the number one hardest part of running a business, period, end of story. It's because we're human and there's no cookie cutters, right? There's no system and process for human beings. And I learned this the hard way. I hired people because I liked the way they looked. I liked them because of what I thought they had achieved at their past job. So many of the wrong reasons that I ended up having to fire a lot of people, and it felt horrible. But here's the key. Listen to what I just said. I had to fire a lot of people. Do you know what a lot of people do? They don't fire. And that was a really, really hard lesson for me to learn. I had somebody that was pulling in a huge amount, $1.3 million in sales as an individual. And they were a pain in the butt, not just to me, like they gave me anxiety, but to the other people on the team. And when that person left, I thought, oh my God, if this person leaves, we're going to be out of business. Not true, not true, not true. So it all starts with the job description, but not just the job description and not just the job title, which is a whole nother thing. Job titles within industries are so different, and like an account executive in one industry doesn't match the account executive. Account executive could be even an entry level position somewhere and a very high level position elsewhere. So I try not to get those titles too wrapped up in mind. I would say follow what your industry does loosely, but don't kill yourself over it. So in the job description, you want to say what that candidate has to do. But here's the thing that so many people don't do. You need to say what the outcome is that you're expecting of that person from that task. So if anybody's doing that now, can you type in the chat, like, I already do that, because I want to celebrate you. I don't know how many people are here. Okay, well then I'm super useful here. Okay, Christina, she did it. Okay. Now, your job description doesn't have to be 17 pages. It doesn't have to be just one, though. There's no rules about that. Then how to source and qualify candidates. You have to both source them and qualify to make sure that they're qualified for the interview, because the interview is going to take their time and your time. And you need to treat these people as well as you would treat a client, right? You have to have that mentality. It's not them needing something from you. It's definitely, a two-way street. So you can source on LinkedIn. And I just have to admit something so funny. I think it was 4 years ago, I started working with a recruiter. And also somebody told me to look at LinkedIn, and all these people that the recruiter were sending to me had jobs already. And I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. All these people have jobs already. They're not going to want to come work for me. That was the most embarrassing thing in the world. You want to recruit people from jobs that they're already doing and doing well in. You can also recruit people that don't have a job. That's not a thing. You don't have to not pay attention to people that are unemployed. But I just wanted to show you the infancy in my brain as an entrepreneur. Even at millions of dollars of revenue, I didn't know that you really should and can qualify or source people that have a job. Okay, and then you need an interview scorecard. And what that is, and this is a much longer conversation, but in general, it's a set of parameters that you're going to judge all of your candidates on in the same way. And the easiest way to do this is a plus, minus, minus. Plus means meets or exceeds. Plus minus means they're kind of in between. Minus means they don't have it. You're going to do that on the tasks and the outcomes in the conversation, in the interview. You're also going to do it with your core values. Do they fit your core values? And you need to do that conversationally, and you need to do these things with open-ended questions like, tell me about a time when a client just infuriated you and was making no sense. And then shut up and let them show you who they are and what their emotional intelligence is. And then you're going to mark them on the scorecard, plus, plus, minus, minus. And then also these three things. Are they the right person for the seat that you're filling? And do they have the capacity? Those three things. So you're going to say right fit, right. They might be the right fit for another role. And I actually had that. I had a gal that interviewed to be an assistant production manager, and I could tell she was a big thinker and a creative and not an I dot or a T crosser. And so I didn't hire her for that role. Also, at that time, I had my team also interviewing and giving the thumbs up or down for candidates, and no one said thumbs up for her. She now runs my communications department, publicity, SEO, social media, and she's amazing. Let me just see if there's a slide here. Oh yeah, this is what we're talking about. And so that interview scorecard, you kind of have to judge apple to apple, because if you're interviewing someone one way and then the next candidate, you don't use that scorecard and you go to sleep the next day, you can't know if you're going on the same kind of information. You also have your gut instinct. And I really think, look at that and look at what your blinders are. Look at what your, what the definition of successful or someone that you'd want to be in, and challenge yourself. Another thing is, I don't have a culturally super diverse group, and I'd like to. And the funny thing is I used to make excuses. Well, there are not too many, Black or African-American people that are applying. That's my responsibility as the business owner, to go out and find representation to work for us in our company so that people can see themselves at our company. And I am not an expert in DEI, but if you read the book, you'll find I discovered I had a family member I never knew about, and she's biracial. And she said, Natasha, why don't you have any Black people working for you on your team? And I said to her, I have in the past, and we have a lot of freelancers and artists and vendors and clients. But I caught myself and I thought, it's my responsibility. So anyway, because I'm not an expert on that, I'm going to not go too deep into that. And if anybody is and wants to connect with me, I'm all open. And then we have onboarding, which goes back to your systems and processes, and it goes back to delegation. So you don't need to sit there and hold their hands, but you need to onboard them so that they feel like they're seen and heard and that they're very important. But also it's part of how you're going to attract other people to your company. You want your team to say, oh my God, the onboarding and training process is amazing. It will blow your mind. Because then in the next time that you're looking for someone, that's the message that's going to resonate out there. Then we have developing your team with education. I have my team tell me what they want to be educated on. Sometimes I ask them to take certain courses or read blogs or books. I have them all fill out a milestone sheet. And if you all want to see that, and I really want you to see it, you can send me an email. Let me see what the easiest email is: natasha@officialnatashamiller.com. Even though that's not easy for you, it's really long. I'm going to send you our milestone sheet, and I have my team fill it out every month with the things that they've done above and beyond what their call of duty is. Where have they pushed our company forward into the future? Where have they come up with influence or ideas that make our company better? And then a growth plan for them. People want to know, they've got this great job, but they want to know, when are they going to get a raise? When are they going to get an advance in their career? Where are they going to go? What do they have to do to get to VP of sales? And you have to start developing a clear vision. You're not going to have it at the beginning, but you need to start thinking about it. And then how to do the one-on-ones or the reviews. Those are all things that you should be considering no matter where you are in the process if you don't have them yet. Let's do some more questions if we have any.
I didn't see any. I hope I didn't miss any. I'm sure we'll have a few more trickle.
Yes. So I really consider these three things, if you're thinking about scaling and growing your company, to be the first three things to think about. Because if you don't have systems and processes, shit's going to break and your clients are going to be mad and your team is going to feel like, we work for this wonky company, can't get their stuff together, right? So that's number one. And then number two is delegation. You got to get yourself out of working in the day-to-day, even if you like it. I don't care if you love it. It's not good for your company long-term, right? Unless you just want to be a solopreneur, just want to have a lifestyle business, and there's nothing wrong with it. But if you're on this webinar, it's probably because you want to scale and grow. And then the third thing that really is the first thing is the people are the most important aspect of scaling and growing a company. You can grow to a certain level, but you can't scale. You can't go into different regions or cities or countries if you don't have a repeatable, scalable process down pat. Let me see. That's it for me, you guys. I did what I came here to do. Yep, we're at the thank you slide.
Just wow. Like I put a note down to like rewatch the replay. I usually don't watch replay after I've seen the event. It's just like so much good information, and just love how real you kept it, tangible examples you gave. It's just like, I feel like so much of it is like, part of it is like process, but then a part of it is like our own limiting beliefs, and you addressed it just all because you've been there. So I also just saw in the chat that it resonated a lot. And I'm seeing one question. I'll see if I missed any others, but like
I've got limiting beliefs every single day throughout the day often, but now I just shove them away. And I ask the question to myself, what is your problem? Why do you think you can't do that? You've proved to yourself so many times that you can do the thing that you didn't think you can do. Stop it.
Right? Like we always ask ourselves, why didn't we do it sooner? We have one more question from Gigi. What's the first system to implement when you're starting out?
I would say go with what the majority, what are the things that you do every day from the time a client enters your realm to the end of the sales cycle. And start, listen, I do stuff on my iPad. You can, what is this app? It's a writing app, and then you can change it into text. I'll figure it out. Somebody can put in the chat. I'm sure there's a handful of people that have this. Get those main things down, and don't let yourself stop. You can say it in a voice recorder. It's not good notes. Why can't I see the name of this app? Notability.
Awesome. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And since we're nearly at time, I'll ask one final question, which is, in what ways has your life improved since you started implementing this? Like, and what's like the number one thing in terms of how I know there's so many things, but just to like set us off of like what our life could be like.
Pride. I have a lot of pride that I was able to do this and that I'm able to show other people. It up levels me amongst my peers, my entrepreneur peers. They think I'm badass. They aspire to be like me. And the ones that are already doing this, I'm part of their club, right? That mental club of somebody that knows what they're doing. It's a very powerful feeling.
I think you're badass and I aspire to be you. So you have a few more people part of that club. Thank you so much for so generously sharing your knowledge, and congrats on the book launch. Her book is called Be Relentless. I have the link somewhere that I was going to share.
If you go to the relentlessbook.com, it'll show you where to buy it, but come back and get your bonuses because I'm giving out some really cool things.
And your journey is just like fascinating. So thank you so much. We're so grateful. I know you've changed a lot of lives in this session. So just thank you so much for giving us these amazing tools and doing it in such an approachable way and tangible way. Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who tuned in today. So honored to be co-creating alongside all of you.